And now, what am I left with? Truth has nothing to fear from exposure. Yeah. And if Jesus is true, he'll withstand scrutiny. And now what am I left with? Even more reasons to believe.
No first century secular evidence whatsoever exists to support the actuality of Yeshua ben Yosef, or the referring to Jesus. And you're saying, no, wait, Josephus actually mentions him. Yeah. And so I remember I was a comparative religions major for my bachelor's degree. And I remember there being discussion that was a later addition in Josephus. But recent scholarship has seemed to overturn that. Would you agree?
There's at least a couple references. And even the later one, if it were doctored or something degree, it still mentions Jesus as a historical figure. It does go on to say he was the Son of God, which kind of throws people for a loop. But I don't think you can dodge Josephus. Now, was he secular? Well, not necessarily, but he wasn't sympathetic to Christianity.
Yeah. How would you, as a pastor, approach this? We both had people that had come with us with doubts. They read something like this. There was no secular evidence for Jesus.
Well, let's just say, like, pastoring's a spiritual gift. So once a pastor, always a pastor.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And what I want to say is some of this and what you're sharing is just so helpful in our Christian walk, because doubt can be a gift from God that highlights our spiritual blind spots. You know, what do I do with that? If I sit on it, well, okay, that's going to be quite destructive, right? But if I use my doubt as a diagnostic tool to say, oh, wait, hey, there's a spiritual blind spot that I'm actually vulnerable to, this can be that thing that inspires me to get to know Jesus on a historical level and learn things about people like Josephus or Tacitus, right? These different type of ancient historians, which when would I ever open those up on my kitchen table, right? But I am able to research and study to learn more about Jesus because a statement like that triggered a doubt, which showed me a spiritual blind spot. And now what am I left with? Truth has nothing to fear from exposure. Yeah. And if Jesus is true, he'll withstand scrutiny. And now what am I left with? Even more reasons to believe.
Doubt can be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was Dallas Willard who said, doubt is like a headache. It's there, it's real, but you got to take care of it. Drink more water, take an aspirin, do something about it, right? So on this first point, Ken, it says there's no secular evidence, but that doesn't actually seem to be true, not to be the case. You've written a book on this that people can go to address some of it. That's God Among Sages, correct?
Correct.
And what others have addressed this topic? That wouldn't be, I'm holding here a huge book by Craig Keener on it, but what would be something a little more accessible?
Michael Kruger, New Testament scholar, early Christian historian, has an article, brief, concise, to the point, entitled, now I've got to find it, Did Jesus Even Exist?
Did Jesus even exist?
That would be a good place. If you want more, Richard Bauckham has a book, Jesus and the Eyewitnesses. Now, that's going to take a little reading time. Start with Michael Kruger.
Good. Well, you even said that Bart Ehrman affirms it, and he's an agnostic.
That would be a very good. And by the way, if I could add a point there, oftentimes skeptical people quote liberals to buttress their criticism. Here, we can quote a liberal to critique the agnostic. So we're kind of turning the tables a little bit.